unmet needs are. We want to hear what your challenges are. We want to be able to be your advocates on the state level, and we want to be your partners in reopening. So while this is the first Q&A, let's hear from you what your questions are. Answer those questions from the experts that we have available to us. And if we can't answer a question, we would be able to send it up through the state EOC, through our channels to get those answers for you. More importantly, we want this to be an open line of communication. We want you to be able to reach out to the Economic Development Office or my office when you have questions or problems. We want to be your partner. And we hope that this will be a frequent event. We want to keep these Tele-Town halls going so that as you open, as things come up, you can communicate with us. And then going forward, the Thrive portion of the Survive and Thrive is that ongoing conversation that we have with you. So I'm going to turn it back to Rista, and she'll open the floor for all the Q&A.
Okay, great. At this point, we have our Fire Chief, Peter Towie, here, and I have him just give you a few words about the city's response and some of the things that are going on from his perspective.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rista. I will keep it short because I think it's important to, we're here to hear from you, like Rista said, to see how we can support you. We are seeing some positive trending in the numbers. Locally, hospitalizations are down, but we do know, as we reopen, there is that increased likelihood of community spread. So it is important to make sure we're keeping up those social distancing measures and those guidances to make sure that as we reopen the state, that it's done in a safe manner to keep our communities safe. And we're here to partner with you and support you as you go through this process. We continue to work through these guidances and process through them as quickly as we can as they come in, and we'll continue to do so. We are here to help you and help you work through that guidance, and continue to work to get our community back to a position that was stronger than it was before this. So thank you for being on the call, and please, I did leave my contact information in the chat box. If there's anything we can do, we are here to work with you and partner with you as we go through this process.
Okay, great. Tom from Toronto Area Health, can you hear me? Do you have access? Let me see if I can
Unmute everybody.
just give me 1 second here. I know we were having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Whatever it takes.
Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. I ran into some issues on my end. Thank you very much for holding this meeting. Thank you, Chief, for your opening statements, and Mayor. Basically, from a health department standpoint, we don't have a lot of interaction with the general business out there in Torrington, but we are happy to be a resource for you. We've gone over all the business rules and the sector rules. They're similar, although there's a lot more of them for the restaurants and the food service and the salons and whatnot. But a lot of the stuff carries through to the business, such as the social distancing, the wearing of masks, disinfecting contact surfaces and things like that. But what I started with the manufacturing group, and I'll say it again now, is keep your eyes open, because these sector rules, all of this guidance is changing rapidly. And I know we're coming up to the June 20th day where we can all see the next phase come in, but some things are just not going to change, in my opinion. I'd be happy to be proven wrong.
There already is a change. I just got a text from the governor's office. They're moving it ahead to June 17th.
See that? That's, I don't know what the science behind 3 days is, but it's very interesting how this is all thank you, Barry, how this is all changing. Those rules, when they come out, and they're going to come out probably the 17th, may or may not include masks. In my opinion, you're going to still see the mask use continue. I want to stress the disinfection of, surfaces that you commonly contact, and there's application of common sense there. There really isn't a timing on that. You're going to have to take a look at those surfaces and decide. And then the social distancing within the office. I don't know when that's going to change, but we went over this with manufacturing as well to keep an eye on how close you all are. If you have a private office or a private cubicle, the guidance is that you may remove your mask to conduct your business throughout the day. But when you're in contact or out in the common areas, the guidance is to put your mask back on. So I don't see a lot of that changing. The population within the business itself may change soon. I know you're all working at something like 50% of your capacity. Those are probably going to change on now the 17th. They may up that again, but keep in mind that all the other parts of the guideline are still in effect. So you're going to probably be seeing your coworkers in masks as we move forward for a little while longer.
Great. I'll get into the question and answer part here. And I just want to say as we go along that I am the Economic Development Director. I don't think I said that in my opening remarks. So if there's anything that comes up after this call that you think of, please feel free to email me, contact me. I will put my email address in the chat line. I see that the city planner, Marty Connor, and the fire chief, Peter Towie, have already done that. So you have our contact information. It is also on the website. So this is just the questions and answers now, but if you think of something afterwards, please feel free to reach out to me. There have been a lot of questions. I see some in the chat and prior to this about capacity. So we'll take them kind of one by one. If an office has been deemed essential, so we have a lot of different types of offices. Some have been able to be open this whole time, and some are just reopening. So if they were deemed essential and able to be open this whole time, does the 50% capacity apply to them?
Well, the general business rules, line 1, limit maximum capacity to 50% of usual occupancy in any indoor space. I am not necessarily aware of an exemption for essential businesses, but maybe someone else could chime in if someone is aware of something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, Tom, you're right. The 50%, I think, does apply regardless. That's an overall guidance document for moving forward. I mean, I think we could try to get additional clarification. I think one of the concerns that places are running into is how do you determine that 50% capacity, whether it's, by existing desk spaces, whether it's, square footage of the footprint. I know our fire marshals with the retail and stuff have been, working with the businesses and will continue to do so if anyone, is looking to work through that. I think the as far as capacity, it's more probably, and I'll defer to Tom on this, but probably more important to look at the intent of, we need to ensure that we're keeping those 6-foot distances between those spaces and keep that social distancing between office spaces, whether that means every other cubicle or if you have substantial cubicles, you can get that spacing a little down. It's probably going to be dependent upon the facility and probably will need it's probably easier to have a discussion on site to sort of walk through what your space looks like and what's going on. And then as far as, do you have any other guidance on that, Tom?
No, Chief, I think that's very, you bring up an excellent point, which is, the way we all conduct business is, there's such a variety. And the days of the factory where everybody's sitting at a desk or a cubicle or, that there's not a lot of that left. I think the intent of these guidances, and Chief, you did stress that these are guidances, is to attempt to apply that to your individual business. So if you have a normal work schedule of 10 employees in your office, it's logical to say that there should be only 5, that you should be at that 50% reduction. I don't think we should be applying necessarily square footage, because I don't think all of us use our square footage the same way. And I think you need to look at the intent of this. Can you repopulate your office to a point where you can maintain social distancing? Everybody is far enough away that they can take their mask off and conduct business, but still prevent the spread of this virus throughout the office. So I think, Chief, I think you're right. I think it's not so much that I necessarily want to offer site-by-site visits, because I don't think that's the intent here either. But I understand what you're saying is we should look at each business individually if you're truly struggling with this. I think if you apply, again, go back to some common sense, read the intent, see what kind of business you are, see what kind of office space you have. If you are maintaining that social distance, I think you're meeting the intent of the guidance.
And I just want to add that, you know, throughout all of this, any of our enforcement arms, whether it's been the health district, the fire department, the police department, the land use department, you know, we're really here for guidance and acceptance. So if in assistance. So if you are struggling, please give us a call. If you're doing what you can to meet the intent, and we find that we get a complaint or there's something wrong, we'll come out and we'll talk to you and we'll give you some suggestions. I don't think, and I don't know if Chief Towie or Tom, you want to elaborate a little bit more, but we're not coming out right off the first visit very heavy-handed at enforcement.
Yeah, look, thank you. I think our approach throughout all of this has been that, carrot versus the stick. We are here to partner with you. We are processing through this guidance and sort of learning on the fly, just like everyone on this call is. So that collaboration is always has been, but even now is critically important. And we are here to work with you and come up with practical solutions for everyone's situation as needed. So I would urge anyone that is struggling and is looking for some assistance. I can't guarantee that we're going to have all the solutions or all the answers, but I can guarantee that we are committed to partner with you through this process and work with you through this process to come up with those solutions, with the goal of making sure that you're able to keep your offices, your employees, your operations, and our community safe as we reopen.
There was another.
I would just echo that from the health department perspective. Our longstanding philosophy has always been that we are far better educators than we are, police officers. That's not our intent here. We are a resource. We are here to help you, to educate you, and that's our role here. There's not going to be any COVID office police banging on your door.
There was another question about back to the capacity question, and so we've talked a little bit about employees, but what about visitors? Is there, you can have your employees back. How many visitors are you allowed to have in? How do you manage that piece of it?
Well, I think it does come down to, again, what kind of business are you operating? It's pretty clear that you shouldn't be conducting face-to-face meetings when you can, in fact, conduct a distance meeting of some kind. I think the visitors, depends on the kind of business that you're running, but you're going to need to enforce your mask policy. You're going to need to enforce your hand washing policy, that kind of thing. You're going to need to enforce the number of people that are allowed to meet. I know that went up last Friday, but the intent of the regulation is to keep us socially distant. So visitors to a business should be adhering to all of these guidances as well. If you want to get more specific, I guess we can, but generally speaking, that's the rule.
And I think that again, I hate to say this, goes back to the facility, right? You may be able to maintain plenty of social distance in one facility and have a different, allow enough different number of customers in at one time versus a different place that may have limited lobby space and distancing space within their configuration.
What we've done here at the district office, and we're an office, we've put up a barrier between ourselves and the general public. We've put distancing markings on the floors, and even right down the stairs in case we get crowded. These are the kind of things you need to employ in your business. If it's kind of visitors coming, clients coming, or if there's something you need to conduct, like we take in applications, it's pretty clear what people are at the office for. Your office may be completely different. That doesn't apply. So it depends on what that visitor's there for. If it's literally conducting business, another business coming to your business, those meetings should probably be conducted electronically, or at the very least, meeting with in a social distancing in mind.
And I can just add a little bit too with what we have done here at City Hall. We are looking for a soft reopening to allow people back into the building starting Monday. We're asking that people make appointments, but the door will be unlocked. We do have the markers in the hallways 6 feet apart, asking people to wait in line with social distancing. Allowing one person into the office at a time with the barriers on the counters, so to protect both the visitor and the employee. And we do have some signage that's around the building, reminding people to wear their mask, to stand 6 feet apart, to wash their hands, and that sort of thing. There is a lot of signage available, sample signage on the CDC website. I know that we've gotten some of our samples there, and I will make sure we have the link to that signage on our website. We have a business resource page on our website that's related to resources specific to COVID-19, so we will have that posted if you need any of that signage. So there is a question here about bringing employees back, but there's limited daycare. And kind of what's the status of that daycare and summer camps opening. And I just, I'll take that one, and then if there's any other comments you can add. The city has a community recovery committee, which I am one of the co-chairs on, and we do have representatives from the daycare community on that. We recognize that this is one of our biggest unmet needs of the community as things start to open back up. Daycare centers are either still closed or they can't run to the capacity that they once were. Camps are being canceled. And so we recognize this need. We don't yet have a solution, but we are working with all of our daycare providers. One of the things I will just throw out there as we work this out, for any kind of questions that are related to any kind of community unmet need, but specifically including daycares and that sort of thing, we have a Torrington Thrives at torringtonct.org email to try to get through these questions, and we can get them to the right member of our community recovery committee and start identifying that real need and the solutions, and we can start to push out the information as we get it to you. So if you have employees that are experiencing this, if you want to send an email, or if they want to send an email, again, it's Torrington Thrives at torringtonct.org. I'll put it in the chat line. Please send those to us, because we are working with the daycare providers, with United Way, to try to identify that, not identify, it's already been identified, but to identify the resources to fill that need.
Yeah,
And
and
it's not just a Torrington area problem, it's a problem in all 43 towns of Region 5, which I actually am the emergency management long-term coordinator for. So my steering committee will be pushing that up through the governor's office. I mean, quite frankly, they need to provide some relief, because it's not economically feasible for these daycare centers to operate with the limited amount of children that they can have. So we got to get solutions to that problem.
Yeah, Marty, I appreciate that you said that, because right before we started this Tele-Town hall, Rista and I were talking about that. You know, it's not just the existing daycares. What we recognize is that there may be a need for alternative daycare. So we are already identifying that one of our next Tele-Town halls will be to pull all of those daycares, the traditional daycares together to have this conversation, push that information up to the state level, but also the feedback that we get from our businesses can help identify whether or not there are other ways for us to create additional daycare opportunities. So this is where we say we want to be your partner. You know, if there's an opportunity for us to spin off another cottage industry or to grow one of those cottage industries, we think that this is where we can be a facilitator for that.
Let's see if there's any other questions coming in here. So there are some questions that we've had about PPE and providing masks and thermometers. Right now, CBIA is still open to distributing masks for businesses up to 50 employees. You can receive 2 masks per employee. Any business can receive 1 infrared thermometer. To register for those, you have to go onto the CBIA website and register. There are 2 separate registrations, one's for the masks and one's for the thermometers. I would recommend that you do that as soon as possible because it is while supplies are available. And we do know they're going quick. So go on and register if you do need the masks and the thermometers. Other PPE, or if you've already received those supplies and you're running out, the state has just issued a list of suppliers in Connecticut and the surrounding areas of who's offering shields, hand sanitizers, and then those would be for purchase. That link will also be on our website, and there are some Torrington companies on there, so I'll be highlighting the Torrington companies to support other local businesses and manufacturers here right in Torrington to get the supplies that you need. But if you find again that you don't have them or you're running out of them, you can't find them, please email me and we will try to help get those supplies to you. So another question about bringing employees back with the unemployment rate of the extra $600 and employees not wanting to come back to work with that. That's I don't know what to say because we are hearing that from a lot of businesses. That $600 benefit expires July 31st. I know that there has been some talk about changing that to try to encourage people to get back to work, but at this point, it's there, they're getting it, and there's not much I can do at a local level, but we do recognize that this is a problem, and we are trying to address that, but I don't really have much more guidance on that at this point.
Because some people are on phones and can't chat.
So I don't see any more questions coming through the chat line, but I do recognize that there are some people on the phones that maybe can't unmute themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everybody. And if you do have a question, you'll have the opportunity to speak. So hold on one second here. Okay. We should all be unmuted. So if anybody has a question, please feel free to ask. So question here, I've heard that if they're offered to come back, they could be cut off of unemployment. So I've heard that as well. So it's just like any other unemployment claim, if you're offered work, don't qualify for unemployment, and you have the ability to file that grievance with the unemployment, and they will review the offer, and if they have a legitimate job offer, they will be cut off of unemployment. That's all done through the Department of Labor. I know some businesses haven't wanted to do that to their employees, some, so that's really your own personal choice. But if you've made a written offer, my understanding is if you've made a written offer to your employee, some of the guidance we've heard is it can't be a text message, has to either be a letter or an email. You do have the right to then file that claim with the Department of Labor that this person should no longer qualify for unemployment. Okay. Is there any other questions? Again, I'm just putting our email addresses in the chat bar so you have them. We are here to assist you in any way that's possible. Our resources are online, or you can call or email us at any time. I'm gonna say a couple.
Yeah,
Closing
so
remarks?
just in closing, I wanted to thank you all for checking with us, but more importantly, I want to encourage you to reach out to us, get us your contact so that as information comes to us, we can push it to you faster. As you just heard Marty say, from when we started at 9 o'clock this morning to 11 o'clock this morning, some of those state guidance decisions had already changed. So reach out to us, register with us so that you can be part of our constant contact list. But also, please keep giving us information going forward, because when I hear things like I can't bring an employee back because their unemployment benefits are too rich, we want to start developing a workforce development program. This is all pre-pandemic, where we were talking about our economic gardening strategy, and you are the very industries, the very business sector that we target for this stuff. So it's really important that we get your contact and we stay in touch with you. So thank you.
All right. With that, thank you all for attending. I hope you have a nice weekend and enjoy the rest of your morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
everyone.
Krista.